Hello and welcome to Fearless DIY Music. My name is Tristan Lass, and today I'd like to talk about a couple of TC Electronic smorgasbord pedals, the ones that are sitting right here. In general, this line is known and it's been around since about 2016. It is TC Electronics' attempt to make analog circuits in really well-built boxes accessible, i.e. the price point on most of these pedals in the series are anywhere from, $39.95 up to maybe $79.95, I think, at the highest. These two pedals right here usually retail for around 50 bucks. And I bought both of them a few years ago. I had been chasing getting a replacement for my old BK Butler tube driver, and the Tube Pilot looked like a good alternative at a low price. So I went ahead and bought it and used it on my board for quite some time. But I decided that it needed some mods. I also bought this to have a Big Muff style, the Russian style Big Muff clone, and it ended up getting some mods as well. So in this video, I want to discuss how easy it is to take these pedals apart and add your own tweaks to the circuitry. Let's start with the Tube Pilot, i.e. tube driver. This pedal is a very bright pedal. I'll go ahead and give you my clean tone, or my clean-ish tone. I am playing my 1988 PV Tracer through the Acoustic Control Core 117 combo, made in 1977. So anyway, this is just the guitar and the amp. So there's a little bit of dirt in there, but not much. I have my pickup currently set to humbucker mode for this little sound demonstration. So let's take a quick listen to the Tube Pilot. So anyway, this pedal has a great little overdrive tone. Right now I have it set just at basically 11 o'clock. And when you crank it all the way, you get into really kind of high saturation distortion. It does have a 12AX7 tube inside of it, so it does give you that tube overdrive, that tube crunch. Let's go over what I did, though, because what I find with this pedal, as it sat right there as I was playing it, it's very bright. It's very bright and has a lot of crunch to it, which works well in a lot of situations. But as most of you probably know or are familiar with the circuit, or if you don't know, the original BK Butler pedals had EQ controls on them, anywhere from 1 to 3, depending on the year and the model of the pedal. So I was kind of disappointed in this because I was just like, man, I really wish I could dial back that brightness. So what I did was I cracked this open. And it's really easy. There's 4 screws on the sides that give you access to the overall internals. And then you do have to remove all the washers and on the pots and on the output and input jacks to release the circuit board from inside the pedal. But it's a pretty easy procedure to do. So I opened it up and I looked inside and I was like, wow, there's a lot of room in here. So I thought to myself, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just add a tone pot. I added it by simply as if you were adding a tone pot to a guitar circuit. I just basically slaved it off of the volume and have this attached to the volume the same way that you'd have your knobs on your any electric guitar. So I did that, and let's take a little listen into, okay, this is in full bright mode. Now, if we dial that back to about there, you notice it darkened up a little bit and the volume drops a little bit. So let's boost our volume a tad and then take it down even further. So what I love about that is it gives me that flexibility, and I like to leave it right about in that territory right there. It gives me that flexibility to go ahead and dial back some of that high-end sizzle, and it mellows it a little bit. And I really like that, especially if I'm going to be, doing a little bit of. So I just wanted to share with you how easy it is to do a simple mod like that, especially on this particular pedal. Now, you may also notice that there is a big hole drilled in the center of this pedal, and that's to access the bias control. There is a trim pot inside of this pedal so that you can bias the tube. And right now I have it set kind of like just a détente middle setting. But you can kind of do that tube starvation thing, or you can really just like oversaturate it and really push the gain up by turning it clockwise, counterclockwise, to go ahead and dial it back a little bit. So that's why the hole's there. So anyway, I don't feel bad about working on these kind of pedals because they don't cost a whole lot of money. It was like, $50 for the pedal. I was dissatisfied with it to a certain extent, so just going ahead and cracking it open and doing some simple mods to it was really made this pedal into something that I use more often than I probably would have otherwise. Because with that high-end sizzle, it just kind of becomes a little bit too one note, and having the flexibility of the tone control really made a lot of difference. And like I said, this is not a sophisticated mod that I did to this at all. Like I said, I just slaved the tone control off the volume, or the output level rather, and it just takes some of that high end out, which is very cool. All right, now on to the Honey Pot, which is the Big Muff, Russian Big Muff clone. The cool thing about this pedal is it is a good muff clone. And I have it set up right now as I would normally run it. But we'll get into what I did with my mod here in a minute. Let's just play the pedal as it sits. So anyway, it's what you'd expect from that kind of circuit. It's big, it's thick, it's kind of woolly. Not my fuzz of choice. But that didn't stop me from wanting to tinker with it. So what I ended up doing to this pedal is that I cracked it open, and then, up here is normally where you would plug it in. That is the straight to circuit board 9-volt adapter is up here. So you may be wondering why it's plugged in here on the side. What I did was I slaved off the 9-volt battery and wired a jack into the 9-volt battery clip. I took the clip off, I wired it to the jack, but in between the jack and the main circuit board, I put this little potentiometer with a resistor on it. And what that does is I can do the sag thing, where you basically emulate a dying battery. So, with this all the way up, which it is right now, it's the same as it would be if it were plugged in up here. But then if we take this back a little bit, and you'll notice that LED starts, like I can fade it all the way out, and I can bring it back in. I'm not sure how well the LED is going to show up on camera, but my LED right now is fading as I sit and turn this potentiometer. And if I put it right in there, right as it's about ready to die, now I've got it really starved right there. So you turn up your output. And then, if you put it all the way back up, you can hear the difference here. And what I find with this is that if I really put it down in that starvation mode, especially with cords and stuff, you start to get more into the Velcro thing rather than the woolly thing. And you can kind of feel it dying there. And like I said, what this does is it's the poor man's version of a sag circuit, where basically I can sit here and I can go, okay, well there's that would be a battery that's got full life or a full power supply, and then I just gradually dial it back and watch my LED to kind of give me an indication of where the pedal is living at the moment, as far as how much power it's getting. And really easy to do. Like I said, on both of these circuits, I just tagged into the existing wiring and didn't have to even like get into the circuit board proper that much. I did have to, find, the leads for this, for the output control, so that I could make sure that my tone control was slaved to the proper place. And then on this circuit, it was even simpler, being that they have 9-volt battery clips inside of them. So, you've got your ground and you've got your live wire. Wire them up to the potentiometer on lugs 1 and 2 with the resistor in there to make sure that you're not going to fry the potentiometer. Resistor on the hot. And then there you go, and you've got your alternative jack there. If you don't want to mess with the sag idea, you just go back to the circuit board input up here. So, TC Electronic pedals are not the greatest pedals in the world, but as far as getting your feet wet with modifying analog circuits, the Smorgasbord series is an excellent place to start. There's lots of room inside of these enclosures. The circuit boards are not complicated at all. The wires are easy to access, and the wires are easy to either splice into or decouple from the circuit board with your soldering iron and your sucker tool or with the braid, and you can unsolder, resolder in new wires to go to whatever components you want to experiment with. I'm certain that the ease with which I modified these two pedals exists in many of their circuits. I'm sure that all of their dirt pedals would be easy to add either EQ sections to, sag circuits, or other tone shaping, ideas should be pretty easy to hack into any of their dirt pedals. And as far as the modulations and the time-based effects I wouldn't mess with. The modulation stuff, you could probably throw tone controls into those if they don't have one existing. So, I encourage people to check these pedals out just in general for, the cheap and good quality pedal that is an all analog circuit. And if you're, modifier curious and you want to get into, starting to mess with pedals and doing your own thing to them, this is a great platform to work off of. Like I said, the amount of space inside of these and the relative simplicity of how they are built is very, very user friendly. Well, thank you so much for watching. I hope that if you are not subscribed, you are subscribed now and that you've hit the button, and we'll come back and see some more content. I'm very happy with the way things are progressing here. I'd like to see comments on TC Electronic pedals and whether or not you've modded them or whether these mods sound good to you. And I look forward to bringing you more content soon. Take care.